Okay, so now we've got our new trip plan has come over, so we have the option to view it. We'll do that. And you'll see down here we've got options to start the trip, info and details. So again, we don't have the geofencing for the auto arrive, auto depart going, so we're going to manually work ourselves through this load start to finish. Okay, so first thing we're going to want to do is click on the start trip. And we're going to agree. And then we're going to get to some information here. You can see the PUP2, that's for one of our dedicated accounts. We won't do anything with that box. The temperature, we're just going to leave that alone as well. Now down on the fuel levels, a side note here is if you're reporting below 1/8 of a tank, it will advise you to call dispatch for a fuel solution because it just won't be able to access it and read it. So for training, we're going to report we have 1/4 of a tank, and we'll go down in the lower right, cancel that keyboard, and we'll put or click on the done and let that fuel solution go. So we will have to check back. It will generate a fuel solution for us. It'll calculate the trip route for us, and it'll tell us where to stop for fuel at the cheapest stops along the route that we have. So we're going to go ahead and get going on this load. Now you can see the red bar here indicates that the load has been started. So each of these events that we have here, we're going to want to work through those tasks in each of these, and to reach that, we go into our details, and you can see that we've got the first event up here, the Cummins British, and we're going to click on the task bar. Now you can see that the trailer information was already auto-filled, so we've got the green check mark. We want green check marks all the way through this load on all the tasks to accomplish the load. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to cancel this. We're going to click on our arrived, we'll highlight that, we're going to want to select it, and we'll just confirm that that's the date and time that we are arriving. Okay, and there's our messages that came over. So what we'll do is we'll take a minute, we'll go back to our messages, and we're going to call up our fuel solution, and you can see that there are some messages on here, so we'll just go all the way up to the most recent fuel solution, and we're going to go ahead and click on that. Okay, and it's going to list a series of stops along the way for us. Okay, so it's got, gives you the interstate number, the name of the fuel stop. It gives you an exit. It also tells you how many gallons that we'd like you to get there. That's not always a possibility. So in most cases, you're going to put on the fuel that you deem necessary to continue on the trip. You may have a weight issue. You may be picking up some snow that'll add to that trailer. But the key is that we do want to stop at these stops along the way. Also, if you scroll all the way down, it will list each highway with the miles that you'd be traversing on those. So you can write that stuff down there. So we know what our fuel stops are, so we're going to go back into our load and keep working ourselves through that. So we'll go back to the workflow button, and we'll click on that, and we'll pick up right where we left off. So we're departing our first system here, our first stop rather. So we'll select it, and now we've got green check marks on all of those, and they're completed. So now we're going to go into the second event, that's Cummins Power. Again, we're in the tasks already. So our first event is highlighted for us, which is what we want to do. We'll select that. It'll give us the time, and we'll confirm it. We'll go to the next event, and we're going to load. We'll select it. So it auto-filled the trailer number that we wanted. There's going to be more to fill out here, so we'll collapse that page. We'll go to the next page. Again, there's that pup box. We're going to leave that blank. We're going to leave the temperature blank. Now it wants us to put a seal number in there. So we're going to give it a seal number. So we're going to say seal number 2. And we'll say that that's intact. And we'll collapse our keyboard. And we'll click the Done button. Okay. Now the next event, we'll get out of this. That just wants to mess with our hours. So we'll click on our ETA. We're going to hit select. Now we'll give it an ETA, so we're going to want to click on the calendar, and we'll go ahead and make it for the 12th. And we'll hit OK. And then a time that we're going to be in there, we'll hit the clock. And let's say we're going to be in there at 8 a.m. Okay, so 0800, we'll click OK. And we can hit on time, yes we are. If we click the no, we could enter a reason at that time. So we're done. And now you can see the PTA is not in bold. We're going to leave that blank at this time, and we'll use that at the last stop. So for now, we're going to depart. We'll highlight that event. We'll hit select, and we've got the check marks, the green check marks. So now we're going to advance to the next event. As we move ourselves along, again, remember we're not geofencing. We're manually going through the load. So we've arrived at this stop. We want to select it. We'll go ahead and confirm it. And it is a drop off, so we'll highlight that. Hit select. And again, it's going to want us to fill out some information, so we'll hit next page. Leave the temperature blank. So we had seal number 2. That seal was intact. Now you notice here there's an OS&D. It always defaults to the no. If we would have put yes, it would allow us to enter any product numbers, the number of packages, and what exactly it was. Was it short? Was it damaged? We could put information in there. Here we want to put our POD, which is our proof of delivery, and we can just type in David, sign for that. Okay. And we'll collapse, and we'll click done. Okay, so there's that OS&D. So we can move on to the ETA for our next stop. We'll go ahead and update that. Let's say that's for the 13th, the next day. And we can advance through that. And we'll hit OK. And on the time, let's say we're going to be in there at 8:30. We can advance all the way up to that. Okay. All right, and we are on time for that. And we'll hit done. All right, now we're departing that event. So we'll select it after we've highlighted it. All right, now we're going to move on to the final, and that's the Cummins. So we've arrived. You notice it's highlighted, so we'll select. We'll confirm it. Okay, we're unloading at the destination, so highlight it. And select. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and put some information in here. Again, it's going to ask us for the seal. So let's say you put in seal 3. That was intact. And for training purposes, we won't mess around with the OS&D. And we'll type in a name on this one, of Tom signed it. Collapse the keyboard and we'll hit done. Okay, we can put an ETA in here. I believe that's a mandatory because it's bold. And we'll just say the same. That was for the 13th. We are on time. We'll hit OK. And again, we'll hit the clock and say it was at 8:30. And we'll hit OK. On time? Yes, we are. Now the PTA, we can highlight that and we can go ahead and enter that. So let our fleet manager know when we want to be available for a load. So we've delivered this load. Now we want to go take our break. So we'll be available the following day. So we'll make that the 14th. We're ready. And we'll put a time in there as well. We'll let them know that we're ready at 7 a.m. the following morning. You can hit OK. We're still on time, yes, and we'll hit done. And of course, the most important event of it is to end this trip. Not only does that let your manager and the rest of the folks that have access to TMW that you finalized this trip, but now you can also gain access to your pre-plan and even start that trip. But we have to always end the trip that we're on, our current trip. So highlight the end trip, select, it'll prompt us, we want to hit OK. And now we've got all the green check marks. We'll go back and we'll look at the load and we have all green check marks, so we've completed this trip.